All right, I have gotten the Docker Compose working. I am so proud of myself. I only have like 50 tabs open.
Nice.
All right, we're switching over to your screen, Mariusz.
I guess so. Hang on.
You got to do it now. I already like got out.
Yeah, sure. All right. So can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Nice. So this is the Docker Compose file.
Nice,
we're just loading some MariaDB, and our password is example, and our database is EpicDB. The PHP setup is here, right? We need to make sure to install the MySQLi extension, otherwise we can't use it. But now we can actually fool around with, we don't need Epic anymore, with this. So we're just establishing a connection to the database, which thanks to Docker Compose, the host name is actually DB. So instead of an IP address or like local host or something, DB is actually
DNS for the win.
Is basically like /etc/hosts, right? This DB gets used automatically by Docker Compose. It's very tasty, very good. And we can see, hold on. Right, if we var dump the link, then we can see that it's like actually connected. We can test that because if we like give invalid credentials, then it says, hey, access is denied. Very nice. So now we can actually get onto the SQL injection. I thought that Daniel would want to do this because he's all about experimenting and trying new things. But I guess same old, eh?
I mean, I do. It's just you kind of want to do this anyway.
And now we look up, well, how do we actually like read stuff and how do we write stuff? Well, actually MySQLi run some like query, right? So there's a convenient command, query, which yeah, so you can just run arbitrary SQL queries, which is obviously very nice. Oh yeah, this is going to be a bit ouch because we're going to have to create like the tables and stuff.
Simple.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
So
let's just copy and paste our
Yeah,
J171.
Yeah.
Like actually though.
So we can be like query, and then like I've never seen temporary, but okay, sure. Oh yeah, oh yeah, creating a table is always a huge pain. Like MySQLi create table. Like no one actually knows how to create a table in like SQL. Like look at this crap. Like you cannot memorize this even if you wanted to. Like okay, so
hey, Mariusz, have you done databases? They expect
3171.
No, I know that you like yeah, you can memorize it, but then like you're just gonna do the exam and then you're gonna forget it. Like let's be honest.
Yeah.
So generally databases have so think of a database as a spread a database is a collection of tables, and a table is basically a spreadsheet, so rows and columns. We're saying that these are the columns. So we have some ID which increments automatically. We have some name. Let's not even worry about all this stuff. Like I wonder if PHP lets me do this. Let's have a look. Perfect.
Users already exist.
Yeah, because I just refreshed the page again.
Oh, I didn't realize you did that.
So since we already created a table, let's be extremely top-notch and just like comment this code out so we don't create the table again. And then, oh yeah, there's like some, uh,
You're looking for insert into.
I'm looking for like how to use fetch rows like nicely. Something probably terrible happened on your guys' screens at the top now.
We can just do
PHP
an.
MySQL for loop on rows, right? Because I know there's like
I mean, that's just using a variable within the query, isn't it? Or is that just iterating through the query result from the select?
I want to iterate for the query result. Screw it. Let's just do it this clunky way. Yeah, so the like result is, well, we're running a query, and that query is the query is select first name from users, right? And then put a semicolon, and then like while row equals. So this equals is not a comparison, it is actually setting stuff. So this is the really weird bit, right?
It sounds like the walrus operator in Python that no one ever
Yes,
uses.
exactly. So Python could not do this, and for a good reason, because it's trash code style. It's like, all right, this is completely different than this, and it's like an ancient thing from C, but Python decided that they
Python
needed it.
can actually do it now.
Only in 3.
Exactly, like with the walrus operator.
Yeah.
It's terrible, and they shouldn't have implemented it.
Not gonna lie, I actually really like assignment expressions.
They do make things some things more elegant, but it would be much better if you could not do it this way, you know?
I mean, you don't have to.
Okay, then we don't need this var dump here. And we don't need like all these echoes, except I will need them eventually when I make a terrible mistake. Yeah, okay. For example, now. Okay, so everything is working fine. That's the beauty of PHP. If you can get the last echo statement to run, that means all is good. So if we just do something, like we actually got to put something into a database. It's possible that everything is working. And now I don't even know how to insert things in SQL.
Insert into users.
Oh, into. Oh yeah, that's
values.
Right. Like, and then you say like
values and then the brackets.
Oh yeah, values brackets and then like Bob. And no, then of course because like so people understand what's going on. The classic John Smith. Yeah. This might even work. Nope.
I mean, you got the echo to work, so.
Yeah, so the echo works, but the database doesn't work.
Maybe take out the auto increment in ID and then just put a integer in there.
Mostly because Daniel and I haven't touched auto increment, so we don't know what it does.
Yeah.
Auto increment should
should be fine.
Work fine.
Yeah.
What does this say? This might actually give us some insight. Bull false. Okay. That means something is bad.
Malformed?
Sorry?
Malformed query then?
Probably. MySQLi insert. Right, let's just insert into table name, and then we just say columns.
Yeah, because you shouldn't need to if you're doing all columns. That's the thing.
Yeah, but we're not doing all columns.
This is why I said get rid of the ID so you could just like do all columns.
Hey.
Go.
So now
we did something, guys.
Now we have Johns all the time, right? So we're inserting into our database.
John.
Let's make things really spicy. Actually, yeah, I'm afraid. You know what? Let's just make a form so that things aren't too janky.
Doing a form to add new users in.
Exactly.
It's literally what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
We might actually get something from this workshop, guys. All right.
We got banter.
All right,
And
mental note to edit until 7:15.
No, a little bit earlier, I think. But okay, type equals submit. That's like a thing, right? All right. And this is production grade form, right? So you actually know what you're typing.
Damn.
Web fundamentals already done.
Yeah, that's
The
right. I
ego.
actually did it. I could say that I did it before I went to like uni. I did it in VCE. I actually did a thing at RMIT, which is considered equivalent credit to web fundamentals. So
It wouldn't be hard. Web fundamentals is a bit of a joke.
I think it might have been even easier than web fundamentals. Anyway, get. If we yeah, hold on. Let's like actually print things semi-nicely, right? So we can be like, this is not nice, but it's better than nothing. So PHP has like really weird ways of doing things. Oh, we can do fetch a sock. Oh, dude, it's all flooding back. So now if we do like first name,
John.
because we have created quite a few Johns. But if we do,
You know, concatenate
oh yeah,
it.
concat. Right. So we have all our users. Now we're going to say, all right, what else do we want to print? We want to say, okay, what if we have some input? Websites need to deal with input. So if the guy sends the first name, then we want to print it out. What the hell is going on? Okay. And what about the last name as well? Let's go do that. And this is horrifying as is, because it like assumes the input's going to be there and lots of other terrible things. So if we remove this, it's going to, the nice part about PHP is it's not actually going to error or anything. You haven't provided the input.
So it just
Good. It's just like nothingness, right? It's great. So now let's do SQL injection. I have made things very difficult for myself, but the way that you write PHP code, which is SQL injectable, is very scarily easy. So we say, okay, first name. There's actually a terrible example, but yeah, it'll have to do. Right, so let's just actually get them into like separate variables, and you might want to do some processing on them or something, right? And then you do this horrifying trick. You say, let us just put these variables in there.
Not even exit out of a string.
You don't even need to do that in PHP because it like automatically substitutes it in, which makes it basically, it encourages you to do SQL injectable code because it's just so convenient. Right, so now we can do like hello world, and now we've inserted a user hello. Now we can do like Mariusz Skon, and I mistyped it, and we've got like the user Mariusz, yeah. And we're just getting like, right, this is our list of users.
Just growing as the blanks grow.
And let's just say, okay, maybe we want to find the user, maybe we instead want the person to be able to search by the first name, right? Because this is going to be a lot easier to demonstrate.
Enter your first name, get the password out.
Enter the first name admin. Unlock the entire database.
Oh, and I'm using inconsistent single and double quotes, but PHP doesn't care. It's all good. Right, so let's get the first name and last name. Beautiful. And let's say we get it where the first name is equal to the given first name.
You haven't provided a first name.
Yes, so what's a good way of solving this? Oh, let me...
Just do an if.
No, we can be really smart, I think. Nah, damn it. All right, let's try providing it. Yeah, it's still not going to work because I think I have a malformed thinger, right?
Oh,
yes.
Put quotes around
Quotes,
first.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. We've got ourselves John. We've got ourselves nothing except hi. Nice. Let's just stop echoing so many things. Okay, I have no clue what's like going on with all the echoing now, but it's fine. Okay, we have John, we have Mariusz in the database. Things are great. We can look random people up and we might not be able to find them. If we don't search for anyone, we don't get anything. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, or 1 = 1. Error. Why could that be?
Nailed it.
Well, no. I swear this one was on purpose because I missed a critical part of the or 1 = 1 formula, right? I didn't do like a comment at the end. You need to do a comment so that like this quote and stuff is taken care of, right? And you usually need to put something after it to like actually make it register as a comment. It's very complicated. And then boom, yeah. We just did our or 1 = 1 and we've dumped the entire database without knowing people's names.
Wouldn't it have to be a space? Like why did that work? I'm confused. Like, wouldn't you need a space in between the comment and the comma in the query? Or like why does any character work? Like, don't you need like 2 hyphens and then a space? Or I'm confused a bit as well.
That's what I did, 2 hyphens and then a space. Hang on, let me zoom.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because sometimes if you don't do like a space, then things are bad. And I like putting a character afterwards to just make sure that it's really registered because sometimes they trim space off the sides and it's...
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I just thought you went hyphen A and I was like, wait a second, how did that work? And
Oh, yeah, if you just do hyphen A, it's also not going to work. It's more reliable if you... This is not support on every database, but in the ones that do, hashtag is going to be more reliable as a comment because you don't need anything after it. And that's cool. We got the database, but maybe we could have gotten that before. So let's just pretend that everyone's last names were secret, okay? So we're not actually printing out last names. Say maybe last names are passwords instead. So our SQL query is only ever going to select the first name. So it's actually only going to select the first name from the database, and it's only going to print the first name. Right, so even if we dump the entire database, we still only get the first names, right? Is there something we could do? Of course. It's called a union query, and let's try and do it live. So a union is when you like put another query after your query, basically. And then the SQL database tries to merge them and get everything happy and good. So let's say maybe we also want to select the last name from users. And then we do like our comment. Cool. And now we get all the last names.
What if you do select all?
If you do select all, that's a fantastic question. It's not going to work. Do you know why?
It's because of the columns. Not like the number of columns on the second statement isn't the same as the first, right?
Exactly. The number of columns is important. And in fact, we only print the thing labeled first name. And like, we only select the first name, right? Hang on. There is a way of getting around this, and it's SQL concat. Like, you can concatenate two columns. And I don't remember exactly how it works, so I'm looking it up.
I think you can use like double pipe to concat as well.
Double pipe. That sounds exciting.
I might be talking shit. Hang on, just shit.
No. It sounds pretty possible.
Yeah, there it is.
So you can probably just do that. So let's try experimenting with that. First name, last name. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, because hang on. 0. So like what? False? Like this interpreting it as an or?
I think you might need a space between the first name and last, like the pipes and variables, or
That's
whatever.
possible. Yeah, it doesn't seem to change anything.
What happens if you put first name and last name as strings rather than just variables?
Oh, okay. So I think then it's just going to print the literal last name, right? So this is what you were talking about, Daniel. Can you just do arbitrary strings? There you go.
Solid.
Because we can just do like something which doesn't exist there, like we can say, oh, fish. And there we go. Arbitrary messages through the database. And there's a bunch of ways of doing things, but let's be honest, we're here for the lols, not for like learning. So let me just, no, okay. Hey, SQL map, all right.
Can I spawn a shell from all this?
Sorry?
Never mind.
Can we get a shell?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah, I can see how that goes.
Fucking system work on this.
I'm just going to say, find all the forms on this page and do it batch so that it automatically answers all the questions for me. And then it just runs a bunch of SQL injection query stuff. And boom, we have time-based blind and we have a generic union query. So it decided that this is a very smart query to use. So we can, for example, try it, yeah, ourselves.
What?
Okay. It's not very good. Union all select concat. Yeah, so that's what I was sort of trying to do. What's this? Because it also does some obfuscation stuff. Like it's all very.
I was going to say, why is it using hex?
Yeah, it's mostly for obfuscation. So like it's harder to detect like what it's extracting. I think if we like, right, if we fetch this and put it into like CyberChef. Okay, CyberChef. Then it's going to tell us like what all this hex is. It's just like obfuscated stuff, right? So this QQJBQ, this is like this, yeah. And the random strings, again, to make it harder to fingerprint the SQL injection attack.
Is that union thing just trying to prove that the union exists then by
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's like the point of this query is to test if it exists. If we do dash v free, I think, and then we say like dump the users table. Right, then it
Oh,
actually
you got the users table.
exactly. So we've got all the users, and it tells us the exact payload that it sends. So v3 is for verbosity, so how much details it gives. So if we run this, right, cast first name as nchar, it does all this epic stuff to make it like compatible with a bunch of databases and obfuscate it and lots of good stuff. All right, yeah. So can you see the output here? We have dumped the entire database, but there's also like these like extra letters just so it's easier for SQL map to extract exactly what the results are. Yeah, they're like delimiters.
Oh, so get a shell from it.
So get a shell. Well,
Yes.
I'll have you know that if we do SQL map help, there's this shell, but that's not what we want. We want OS shell. All right. Because sometimes you can get a full shell from SQL injection using stuff like what Daniel showed with system or like with writing to arbitrary locations and stuff like that. Yeah. So I wonder what's going to happen here, like honestly. No parameters. Oh yeah, whoops. Apologies, SQL map. Forms. All right, so okay, so it tries a bunch of different techniques. It failed all of them. Because I don't think most modern databases are vulnerable to this stuff, right? You see that it tries doing like union and stuff and writing to this. I don't think the Docker actually has the right, like, I think it's a read-only thing there, so that's why it can't write.
You could still get you could still get a shell from this just based on equivalent of like a PHP XSS though. Like write PHP into the
Exactly, but you can't write
Angel.
due to the way the permissions are set up on the Docker file. Like with Docker, it's like a read-only, right?
Yeah, but the way you're printing it, shouldn't it just dump it into the file, into the PHP?
No, it doesn't. The way that the PHP file stays constant. What changes is the request. What changes the response sent to the client, yeah? So this PHP file always the same, but what the user gets is different, right? So we see that it does like union or select into some dump file, yeah? So it tried really hard.
Could you not use what is it like sysexec in SQL, because it is running as root, isn't it? The database.
I do not believe it is running as root actually. Generally, SQL databases do go as like a different user. If you mean this root, that's like the database root. That's
Oh
like
no, no, like I just never mind. I must have been hearing things. I could have sworn you said earlier that you were going to run the database as a root.
Oh yeah, I meant this root. So it's like the root of the database, not the root for the entire system. But regardless, like what we can look up MySQL system command or something. But it's only when you're like in the actual shell, right? You can't do it through SQL because they're smart enough that they realized, yeah, this wouldn't be a good idea to expose. Like, right. Cool. So that's how you make an SQL injection challenge, I guess. What you could do if you were like making a challenge, right, is say first name flag and last name, and then you say like MonSec 1337 Haxor, yeah. So then, if we do like the union, whoops. We just select the last name, then we're going to get the flag, or all sorts of other injections. But if we just look up flag, then it just gives us flag. Yeah. So if we are just a normal user, then we can't get the flag. But if we do the SQL injection, then we do. So that's a very rushed gist of how you do an SQL injection challenge. You set up the infrastructure, which takes most of the time. You connect to the database, and then you insecurely pass strings directly into the SQL query.